It is Thursday, October 17th. This is Jaguars Happy Hour. And now, a guy who loves the band Oasis so much, he owns a champagne Chevy Nova, Brian Sexton.
Oasis. I've heard of them. I heard they were on Saturday Night Live. That's about all I know about them, though. And I did have a Chevy Nova, and it was not beige.
What year?
It was a 1973.
Oh, that was the great year for the Nova.
Chevy Nova. And
Yeah.
it was. It wasn't lime green, and it wasn't a rich green. It was sort of a faded green.
Yeah.
I liked it.
It's kind of an avocado-ish green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't have the big engine.
Didn't?
No,
Would you have the straight six in it or something?
My dad didn't want me to have something that was going to get him in a lot of trouble with the insurance.
Yeah, no, I get you.
But I liked it. Speaking of
That
liking,
was one of the hot rods, by the way.
well, listen,
Yeah.
if I'd had my way, it would have been.
Yeah.
But instead, I sort of slow pedaled it, and I got here.
Well, this team is slow pedaling right now.
Yeah, we got a lot to
Speaking of
talk
slow
about.
pedaling.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be seen. We're at the Grove here.
We are at the Grove.
Is this considered London or is this considered not London?
This is considered Watford.
Okay.
So we're about an hour and 10-minute Uber ride to your hotel down in the
Okay,
city.
so I'm staying in downtown London.
You'll be staying at the Dorchester, I imagine.
No, I would be at the Hilton Metropole, which if you look at like Google, which everybody does nowadays,
Sure.
and you look at the ratings, the ratings of the hotel that I'm at is like 3 stars. Okay, the hotel that Pacelli's at's like 5 stars.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. He's at the same hotel.
And this place is a 5-star place now.
It's beautiful.
It's on 300 acres
beautiful.
of an old English country estate, and I am told, and I believe this is absolutely true, there is a black oak tree on the grounds that was presented by Captain Cook to the lord of the manor when he returned from one of his visits to the New World.
You're talking about the captain.
The Captain Cook.
Like captain of the ship, Captain Cook.
Yes.
Yes.
That was planted here on the grounds, and I believe it's still back that way somewhere.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
There's a lot of history here.
So the whole grounds thing here is amazing. It reminds me a lot of Virginia. You know, the broken rolling hills, farm ground kind of thing. But I got a question for you, and maybe somebody can help me out. So I take an Uber out here today, me and Frank Frangie, and Frank had some stuff to do out here as well, so we rode in the car together. We're walking in this hallway, and then all of a sudden up on this wall is like a projection, and there's a naked guy in a garden, okay, walking around, and he's gesturing, and I'm going, what in the world is going on here?
Did you take a left-hand turn and see if it was a mirage?
No. Somebody help me out. What's up with the naked guy walking in the garden on a projector here at the Grove?
Listen, I don't know. And I've walked the garden, not looking for that guy, but I've walked the garden a lot this week, and I haven't seen him. I've seen it projected in here.
I'm just trying to understand what the whole purpose of that was. Anyway, just to,
it's eccentric.
Sometimes when your team is 1-5, you got to have a little moment of levity, right?
I have walked. It's a 300-acre property, and they've got about a 4.5-mile loop through the Whippendale Wood.
Mm-hmm. Is that what it's called, the Whippendale Wood?
Whippendale Wood? Yeah. Anyway, it's a beautiful piece of property. The Jaguars like to stay here because it's a short walk across the parking lot to a field where they practice. They've got great facilities for them put up here.
Yeah.
And the food is outstanding. Saturday night was tomahawk night.
Tomahawk ribeye.
Tomahawk ribeye night. It was
what kind of wine did they serve with that?
They didn't.
Did you bring your own?
I did not. I was told that was not permitted. So I enjoyed.
I would have snuck one in.
I enjoyed the meat, and we'll hopefully get out to London before the week is out and enjoy some of the wine.
It's still there, and it's still the same. Very busy and a lot of people. I will tell you that.
A lot of people.
Yeah. But it's I'm ready to be home.
All right.
I'm ready to be home, but I'm hoping that this football team can find a way to get a win before they return.
All right, when they return, by the way, they'll face the Packers. That is a week from Sunday on 10/27.
What a stretch.
It does. It starts a tough stretch with the Packers, the Eagles, and the Vikings. That's the crucial catch game, by the way, and you can get your tickets at jaguars.com/tickets or dialing up 904-633-2000. But before we get there, the Jaguars have a chance to win on Sunday against the New England Patriots team that is rebuilding with a rookie quarterback that's lost 5 consecutive games. Sent a rather surprising opening day win in Cincinnati.
Beat Cincinnati. I mean, and they won scoring 16 points.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not exactly Joe Burrow's best day, right?
No, they got some problems in Cincinnati too. But.
Yes, but here's the reality: the New England Patriots are coming over here to London, feeling confident that they can get a win. I mean, that's where the Jaguars are at right now. I mean, look, this Jaguars football team
they don't scare anybody.
One of the worst teams in football.
Yep.
Okay, Carolina Panthers, Jacksonville Jaguars, Cleveland Browns, New England Patriots, and who am I missing? There's one other team somewhere in there with one loss. I mean,
in the misery that we've been in, I've just been focused on this team.
Because and the reason I say that is that when you're playing and you're trying to get out of a hole, you have to be able to be real. And you have to accept where you are so you know how to get where you want to go.
So let me ask you, is this a bad team or is this a team playing badly?
I think it's both.
Okay.
I mean, because, the reality is you are who you are.
Right.
And you are what your record says you are. And right now, that's what they are. Do they have the talent to be better than this? Absolutely. Do they have the talent to be undefeated? No, I don't think so.
Could they be 3-3?
Yeah.
Could this be one of those? Could this be like the Cowboys?
If they're a little bit more mentally tough, and to use Trevor's term, what did he use?
He said we've got to stop being so fragile.
We're fragile. Well, if you're a little bit more mentally tough, then maybe you can win that game in Miami when you turn the ball over. Hey, no big deal, sudden change, let's go, we'll get it back. Didn't do that. Maybe a little bit mentally tougher as far as winning the game against the Buffalo Bills and getting excited for a Monday Night Football game, and they didn't do that. Didn't even really show up in that ball game. It's just disappointing that this team is where it is, and the reality is until you start playing better across the board, you're not going to win. Because right now this defense is one of the worst defenses in football, period. One of the worst defenses in football. Offensively, if you look at it from a point standpoint, right now in the National Football League, you're 22nd in points. And that's with a first overall pick quarterback, Super Bowl coach, offensive mind, first-round pick wide receiver. And
tight end that caught 114 passes last year.
And 2 free agent wide receivers. Look, you got to be scoring more points than that. They are where they are, but again, the New England Patriots are coming into this game this week, and they're feeling really good about where they are. Look, we've got a young quarterback who led us to our best points total of the year, was tough, stood in the pocket with a beat-up offensive line, and so I think that gives them confidence coming over here is that they're facing a team they believe that they can beat, and then also they had a performance against Houston. Although the game got away early, they battled back in that ball game.
All right, so take me back to the mentally tough thing. Have you ever been on a team that you think was where this team is mentally right now?
Unfortunately, yes. When I was
in New York or in Jacksonville?
New York, when I was in New York, I was with a couple football teams that we just weren't mentally tough. We just couldn't handle anything bad in a game because we just didn't have the ability to overcome. And I think that's part of being mentally tough. Part of that also is that we really didn't have a lot of talent up there. But this team here in Jacksonville is not supremely talented, but they have enough talent, especially offensively, to bounce back. For example, this past game, you get an interception by Cisco. Okay, offense, you've got enough talent. Build on that momentum in the ball game, and then, score points. And I think they ended up going 3 and out on the following drive. That's you can't do that, especially when that side of the ball has the amount of talent, because I believe the offense is talented enough to be a really good football team.
Well, then the defense turned around and did it to them in the third quarter. Trevor hit the touchdown pass to make it 21-10. And the defense, Josh and Trayvon Walker.
Would you call that complimentary bad football?
I would call it that.
It's kind of what it is, right? Each unit didn't respond to something positive by the other.
First and third down, you get sacks, and you give it away.
It's not where you want to be. But that's where this football team is right now. And Ryan Nielsen's, he was brought in to improve a defense, and right now, hadn't done it.
So did the Jets team ever switch around? Did the mental switch ever kick in?
No.
Okay, all right. So then
That's why I ended up in Jacksonville.
yeah, right.
Brian.
Without a doubt. So the only team that I can tell you, I'm hearing something, guys. I don't know. Maybe you can help me with it. I'm hearing some conversation in the background. So, my point is the '96 team. Were you guys mentally tough when you were 4-7? Did winning change that?
We were tough.
Okay, I know you were tough because Tom says that's the toughest team.
Yeah, 95 and 96, I think we were tough as any team, I think, in football. In 95, we didn't have a lot of talent. In 96, we were still trying to figure it out, you know, and that's.
So that wasn't a team when things were going poorly, and man, they were going poorly at one point where it wasn't mentally tough.
We never had that mentality to where in 96, that I think is what you're talking about, because we ended up turning around. We never had the mentality early on in 96 that we were like, okay, something bad happened. We were like, there we go again.
Okay.
We never had that.
So that was a tough team. It just wasn't good enough until things turned.
We were learning how to be a good team, and also we were developing.
Yeah.
And this football team right now is past the point of developing. I mean, it's just got to perform.
So if you're Doug Pederson,
it's frustrating. If you're Doug Pederson, I mean,
What can you say? What can you do?
Well, and that's where leadership matters. And it's not easy for a head coach to deal with that, because you don't want to end up having a team completely close their ears if all of a sudden you're pounding the fist and yelling and screaming. But at the same token, there's got to be a level of accountability across the board for the entire football team. And I think that this team is at the point now that Doug needs to seriously consider who's playing and who's not, and percentage of play time for certain guys and certain guys not.
So we've reached that point where you don't just want to change for a knee-jerk reaction. You want to see things through to a point.
It needs to be measured.
We're past that now.
Yeah, it needs to be measured. And if you make a change for somebody's level of play that's not acceptable, okay, you need to make that change regardless of sometimes what's behind that. So in other words, okay, if you don't play player A, and okay, behind curtain B you have two players, sometimes it doesn't matter how good those players are behind curtain B. You're just putting one of those guys in just because you want to make sure that player A is accountable that his level of play is not good enough. Okay, you see what I'm saying?
I totally see what you're saying.
And
can I give you an example?
Because if you don't do that, then where's the accountability for that player A to raise his level of play to where he can play at?
Do they have the ability to do that this week with the cornerback, right? Because you're going to get Tyson Campbell back, and Monteric Brown has played pretty well. Could you send the message to Ronald Darby? It's the young guy's going to go.
That's a little different, though, because, in that instance, let's say player A is Darby. Okay, not playing great. Okay, and then you got Tyson Campbell coming back. Okay, well, behind curtain C, it's not really even behind a curtain anymore. You've got Monteric Brown who's playing good.
Yeah.
Playing better, okay, than Darby.
Right.
In my opinion.
I think so, too.
So if Tyson comes back, I think the obvious move there, and it's a relatively easy move, Tyson comes back, he plays at his typical spot, right corner, move Monteric Brown over to left corner, see how it goes, and then you're going to rotate maybe Darby a little bit in there as well. And I don't know what the ratio is going to be. Is it 1-to-1, or is it 2-to-1 with 2 for Monteric, 1 for Darby?
But I see what you're saying. It's not the same as pulling someone out of the lineup and putting someone else into the lineup to replace them, because it's a matter of a guy that was already playing.
And here's the other thing. I'll bring it up an example on the other side of the ball. Okay, and some people may be surprised by this. Okay, right now, Anton Harrison did not play very well this past game. My level of expectation for an Anton Harrison, his level of play should be up here. Okay, well, his level of play this past game was down here. Okay, the 2 previous games, he was pretty good. Okay, but to open the season, his level of play was down here. Yeah. Well, you'd have to have a conversation with Anton saying, hey, look, your level of play needs to be up here, and because it's not, we're going to play Walker Little a little bit more in this ball game, maybe rotate you guys, because until we see your level of play back here, we're going to play Walker Little. And I think that, in my opinion, Anton Harrison is a better player than Walker Little, but it doesn't matter because the production doesn't meet the expectation there, so therefore you need to have accountability.
So that accountability leads to mental toughness because guys have to get inside their own head and square themselves
They need
up.
to determine, am I going to be better? Okay, am I going to commit to be better? Am I going to perform better? Am I going to have more attention to detail, more focus? Another guy, I'll throw another guy out there that needs to be better for this football team, Devin Lloyd. Devin Lloyd needs to be better for this football team. Some of those open throws that happened in this past game, were some breakdowns. He needs to be better. And you don't have a lot of options at linebacker because Foye right now is on injured reserve. But you have Chad Moobin, you have Ventrell Miller, and so maybe you reduce the percentage of snaps that Devin Lloyd gets and maybe increase the number of snaps that Ventrell Miller and Chad Moobin get.
Don't you think Ventrell Miller should be on the field a lot more?
Well, he has some breakdowns too. He's still a young player that's still trying to figure some things out.
Plays with great energy, man.
He plays with great energy and he attacks forward. But in coverage, there are moments that, you go, that wasn't very good. But also that's part of experience and, he needs just more time on task, so to speak. But that's an interesting equation there.
Is there time?
But again, let me just real quick.
Okay.
Regardless of who you have behind the guy, again, this goes to accountability. Okay, if the person that is in the starting role and is not meeting the expectation here, then you, regardless of who's behind or next guy up, you look at playing that next guy to let the player know from an accountability standpoint, that's not where we expect your level of play and where you should be. So until you can get it back up in there, we're going to play somebody else to see if maybe they can do it, regardless of whether you believe they can or not.
If Doug pulls some of those moves, right, if he makes some strategic changes, if they have a good week on the practice field, if they go out and win on Sunday, is there time for this team to go from not mentally tough, from fragile, to mentally tough before this season is over?
Yes.
Okay.
But is it going to happen fast enough for this team can get to the point where they're going to be able to meet the expectations prior to the season?
I don't
right
think...
now that, look, here's the reality.
How are you going to meet expectations?
The expectations were high.
Really high.
Okay. But
you'd have to win 11 games to meet expectations.
And if you can find a way just to get back into the playoff conversation, find a way, great. But in reality, I'm not saying that to my players if I'm Doug.
No.
I mean, because right now that's way too big of a meal to eat. Okay? To be able to climb out of a hole, it's got to be one bite at a time. I mean, you got to worry about this one bite this week against the New England Patriots and try to find a way to win this one.
I thought I had a manageable expectation of this team, on the flight over. I thought if they could win these two ball games and come home 3-4, you have a chance with a big game against the Packers at the end of October. Now you go into November. If you're 4-4, okay, you're on some stable ground.
Got a chance.
Go battle. But they dropped themselves back with the loss, and not just the loss, but the way that they lost.
Correct.
And put themselves in a position where I'm not sure even if they went on a winning streak here and won 2, 3, 4 ball games in a row.
Will it be enough?
Yeah.
May not be enough.
All right.
It may not be enough, but it would make things feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be something that you could build and get this team some confidence.
They need something.
Do you remember when they were 8-3 last year against the Bengals?
And everybody was talking about them as being the best team in football.
Doesn't that seem like eons
It seems
ago?
like a long time ago, but here's the reality. I mean, it's, what is it, 2-10 since then?
Yeah.
And if you want to be a franchise that is one of the elites, this up and down, one good year, 2 bad years, that's not where you want to be. I mean, that's not where Shad Khan wants this franchise to be. And so, and I understand that, there was a vote of confidence given to Doug Pederson and to Trent Baalke this past week, but the reality is that that's not the level of expectation that Shad Khan has for this football team. And Doug will tell you, I mean, we're going to talk to him here in a little bit. He'll tell you, look, accountability and expectation with coaches. I mean, he gets it. He's been around this league a long time. He knows. Trent Baalke knows that.
All right.
Just the way it is.
When we come back here to Happy Hour on 1010XL and 92.5 FM, we'll talk a little bit about the week that's been at the Grove outside London, some of the buzzwords we're hearing, news about Roy Robertson Harris's trade, and how that affects the roster. You are listening to Happy Hour. Back after this on Jaguars Radio.
Facing cancer takes a lot of determination, strength, and support. And you'll get it all at Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center. Determination from world-renowned doctors, giving you specialized treatment with cutting-edge technology and research. Strength and support from a dedicated team, caring for you completely, during and after treatment. Don't face cancer with anything less than the team at Baptist MD Anderson. Appointments available at baptistmdanderson.com.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, PowerBoost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub-platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, CSI Companies partners with leading healthcare and technology organizations nationwide to deliver workforce solutions. CSI prides itself on building meaningful relationships and provides personalized operations to fuel the success of businesses, both big and small. Whether it's finding the right talent for a job or seamlessly managing a project from start to finish, CSI has 3 decades of experience in getting the job done. This is your workforce solutions reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com.
At Publix, you can tackle everything from pregame prep to postgame cleanup with prices that are never out of bounds. This week at Publix, save $10 with a digital coupon when you spend $40 on select P&G products. Tackle everything from pregame prep with brands like Crest, Head & Shoulders, and Old Spice to postgame cleanup with brands like Bounty, Dawn, Tide, and Febreze. Clip your digital coupon now. Available at Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents in 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A. member FDIC. Well, you can register your furry friend for the Jaguars official four-legged fan club presented by Forever Vets Animal Hospital. Visit jaguars.com/promotions/four-legged fan club. Brian and Jeff with you from the Grove here on Jaguars Happy Hour. Some buzzwords this week. Guys talking about focus and accountability. It's talk at this point, but apparently, let's go back 2 weeks. Before the Colts game, which was the game where Tom Coughlin was inducted into the Pride of the Jaguars, Doug was asked a question at his news conference. Can you coach with the same style that Tom Coughlin did? That no-nonsense, exacting, demanding, you know it, I don't have to tell you anything about it. Doug's answer was revealing because he said that day, I was coached that way, right? I mean, Shula and Holmgren and Reed, that was the way that he came up in the game. Mm-hmm. But he didn't think that with the modern athlete that you could go after guys in front of their peers in the meeting room and hold them accountable the way that Doug and guys of your era were held accountable. But I heard he did some of that on Monday. I heard he was I don't want to use the word aggressive, but he was very assertive and held guys accountable.
Well, and I think there's an art to doing that. You know, Coughlin wasn't very good at the art form of it.
He was a bull in a china shop, huh?
You know, he was very direct and plain. But, you know, then there's other coaches, which, trust me, folks, Tom Coughlin, one of the greatest coaches of all time. Yeah. Okay, I'm not demeaning him in any way whatsoever. But I think there's also others that do it in a different way. But they accomplish the same thing. Like Parcells, who was an old school guy, he had a masterful way of holding guys accountable in that fashion, just because he had a little bit better tongue, so to speak. You know what I mean?
He was a little bit more gifted
at the gab.
Okay, yeah.
You know, Tom wasn't extremely gifted at the gab, whereas Parcells had a gift of gab.
Yeah, he had a very sharp wit.
He was charming, but then very sharp in a lot of ways.
How'd Pete Carroll do it?
Pete was very different. Pete was never. Pete would hold guys accountable, but in a positive, cheery sense. It was kind of weird,
right?
You know, but you know, I think also Pete grew into that, and that Pete, when he left the NFL, went to SC. I think he learned a lot about what the modern day NFL coach needs to be, and also where accountability needs to be at. I think he really grew in that aspect. But yeah, I mean, if Doug did that on Monday, that's great. You know, and you talk about buzzwords. I mean, there's two buzzwords that came out of this past game that made me concerned, and that you better get a handle on this. Number one was quit from Andre Sisco.
Yep.
The other word was culture from Doug himself. And when I heard that those words were used post-game, I went, uh-oh. So alarms were going off.
Right. Because
when you hear those two words, you wonder, you know, where is this team at? Where is its psyche at? Where's the leadership at? And Doug was right in this week, and that, look, he needs to start making sure that guys are held accountable. And, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, hopefully they can get this thing kind of turned around a little bit. But when I heard those two words, I was like, oh, no. Quit, culture. Now where is this team going to go from here? Because it's pretty low.
You know, can you connect the 1-5 finish to last season to the 1-5 beginning to this season?
Yes,
you see them
absolutely.
contiguously. In other words, 12 games, 2 wins.
And I get that, you know, at the beginning of the year when Doug Pederson was asked about that, and that he said, look, it's a different year, it's a new team. Yeah, but there's a lot of players that are on this team from last year, and yes, you're trying to get things going again, but a lot of the same guys. I mean,
they brought in Eric Armstead and Gabe Davis and Mitch Morse.
They haven't had the impact that they really haven't had the impact from a performance standpoint for this football team, with the exception of Mitch Morse, who's made this offensive line a little bit better.
But when they signed him, one of the things that Doug went out of his way to say was that they were bringing in guys who had been there and done that, right? Who had played at a high level, Pro Bowls.
But that doesn't matter. And let me say this, Brian, and not to jump on you a little bit there, but it doesn't matter what players did. It matters what they do now.
Okay.
And, so if the player comes in and he's performing well, then there's a leadership aspect of it. If the player comes in and is not performing well, there is no leadership, because the guys are looking at that guy going, he's dropping balls, or, you know, he's getting play time and he's not getting any productivity. And so then the players close their ears to those guys. In the NFL, it's a fact. If you don't have production, then you cannot lead. Okay? Write it down. It's going to be true forever in the National Football League. If you don't have production, you cannot lead.
Does Trevor Lawrence have enough production to be able to lead this team?
He does, because of the position, and because at moments he performs at a very high level.
Okay.
But not enough. Not enough. He's got to be better in his performance so that then he can lead.
So who in this locker room today, based on your evaluation, Jeff, can lead?
Well, and that's the hard part. You look at the guys that are performing well. And how many guys are performing well for this football team? Mitch Morse is performing well.
Yep.
If he stands up and says something, guys are going to listen.
Okay.
You know, Cam Robinson along the offensive line, who has been kind of that energetic leader in the past for this offensive line, performance has just been better lately, but kind of okay, but not where you want to see him.
He had a tough night in Buffalo.
I want to see him finish, you know, and that's one of the things that he can do. It doesn't matter about talent, but the level of finish is an effort thing, and just a decision that's consciously made.
Right.
You know, Christian Kirk, you know, I mean, look, he didn't start the year out particularly great, right? Evan Ingram got hurt early on. ETN, been kind of
Can
okay.
Ingram lead based on what he did on Sunday back on the field?
Well,
or
look,
does
when you
the
put
fumble
the ball
take that
on the
away?
turf, it kind of takes it away a little bit,
Okay.
because that's like the ultimate mistake you can make as a player is to turn the ball over. So, I mean, that's the hard part. And so when you're not playing well and your players aren't performing well, then the coaches need to lead even more.
How about the defensive side? Which players – wait, real quick. You've been talking a lot off the air about Brenton Strange. Can he lead? Or is he too young?
No, I think he can lead because Brenton Strange has been dependable. I mean, play in and play out. But the problem is that his role isn't big enough to where he can be a front-of-the-room guy.
People who are listening might not – they'd be surprised. Why would you bring up Brenton Strange? You love him.
He's playing his rear end off. I wanted to make sure I didn't make a mistake there. I mean, he's playing really hard and he's finishing really well. And every week, when I do my film study, and it's right back there with my little notepad.
Get it for you.
You grab that notepad because I'm going to show people something. So every week when I study film, I make notes on plays, good or bad, and so this is my list, and you probably try to focus in on it, by pausing and all that kind of stuff. But there's good plays and there's bad plays. Okay, then off to the side over here, okay, these are the bad plays, the ones that were very costly for this football team, and that's quite a bit. Okay, but there's even more bad plays that are in here. This section right here is Brenton Strange plays that are just like, holy cow, this guy can play ball and finishes, and he's nasty and he's tough, and he's playing winning football. There's not any other player that has his own section on my notepad.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and
Brenton Strange.
Then that's a problem. There's one guy that has his own section, and I'd like to have like 5 guys right here. Like Brenton Strange and Trevor Lawrence, wild plays right there. Oh, here's Christian Kirk's wild plays. Here's Josh Hines Allen, great plays. I mean, that's what you're looking for.
Before we go to break, who can lead on defense?
Josh Hines Allen can. But, Josh needs to raise his level of play too. I mean, he's, got dinged up a couple games ago, had the concussion protocol, and then he was wearing the Guardian cap the next game. This past game, he didn't have it on. Impact wasn't felt in great fashion. And I can tell you this week, his impact had better be felt. The New England Patriots offensive tackles, if they're missing Lowe, their left tackle, they're not very good, Brian.
Trayvon Walker was mic'd up. I heard some of it this week. You can catch it on Jaguars social media channels. Can he lead?
Yeah, I mean, he can lead.
He was talking a lot. He was trying to keep guys moving.
And that's a good thing. And I like Trayvon. He's been playing better. Now, he had a little bit of a couple games where he's pretty quiet, but this past game he played well. The game before that he played well. So that's what you want to see. Now, that's, when you want to be an elite player, it's not a sometime thing, it's an all-the-time thing. And Trayvon's getting better, but he's not there yet.
All right. This is Jaguars Happy Hour on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. We'll take a break and return. Much more to come from the Grove outside London as the Jaguars are getting ready to take on the New England Patriots on Sunday at Wembley Stadium. We're back after this on Jaguars Radio.
Jaguars fans, huddle up. Do you own a vehicle made in the last 10 years? If your car is outside of factory warranty or with no warranty coverage, get the best defense against expensive auto repairs with CarShield, the official auto protection partner of the Jaguars. With plans to fit every budget, CarShield helps you cover up to 5,000 parts and systems. Call 800-471-1223 now or go to carshield.com/Jaguars. That's 800-471-1223. Coverage varies by plans. View contracts and exclusions at carshield.com.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, PowerBoost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Jaguars bring performance, strength, and passion to every play. And you'll find the same when you bank with EverBank. Open an EverBank Performance Savings account and score serious savings. See what you could earn at everbank.com/Jaguars. EverBank, advantage you. Member FDIC and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
UNF is a top public university committed to serving the region, a place where visionary minds come together to create effective solutions. With more than 70% of their graduates working in the area, UNF is North Florida's university, offering 100-plus majors, affordable tuition, and programs in high-demand fields. Soar into your future at UNF. Visit unf.edu to learn more. Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans covering repairs on up to 5,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call 800-471-1223. Coverage varies by plans. View contracts and exclusions at carshield.com.
Well, if you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, check out the 2024 Ford F-150. It's loaded with impressive capability and game-changing technology. Test drive an F-150 at your local Ford dealer. They're a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Brian and Jeff with you, joined now by Kainani Stevens,
Hello,
who is
gentlemen.
also hanging out. And I don't know if you just get enough of a feel for this library here at the Grove. And when I say feel, I mean, I don't know if you can see on the camera the wallpaper.
Yes, JP posted a photo of John Ogier in here in his element yesterday, writing up a storm in the little corner of the library, and it's very, very fitting for John.
Kind of feels like we're like in a live board game of Clue, right?
Wait
like,
a minute, I'm kind of getting a camo feel to this. I like it.
Yeah.
Of course, Jeff thinks it's camo.
Right.
Does it not have a little bit of a camo?
I don't know if it shows, but the curtains are the exact same fabric as the wallpaper, so it very much blends
and
together.
They're kind of a Monet, and then you've got sort of the Picasso on the pillows and hanging on the walls.
I don't know about Monet or any of that, but I mean, I'm thinking mossy oak and realtree on this camo. That's what I'm thinking.
Listen, you always just keep it real, big boy. You just keep it real.
Well, you know, I do kind of get the sense that we should have like a pipe and be smoking.
Well, I got my teacup and saucer out the other day. I had a teacup with a saucer.
Yeah. Talk about whether it was.
Here's the crazy thing. We actually, all around us, this is no joke.
It's prepped for tea. We have the sugar cubes.
Yeah.
There's literally sugar cubes on every table in the room. Somebody tell me why.
It's for tea time.
Yeah.
They have tea time in here.
Is tea time all like 24/7?
They do it every day, I think.
If you'd like it, we could make it 24/7.
Yeah, I might need a little energy boost to finish this show out here. You know, we got the Doug Pederson hour and everything. I might have to start eating some of these sugar cubes here.
At some point before the show's over, we're going to decide
like
whether
a spider monkey.
It was Mr. Green who committed the murder with a rope in the conservatory, or whether it was Mrs. Peacock with a
Colonel Mustard. It's
revolver
always Colonel Mustard.
in the library. We'll see.
Did you play that game?
Oh,
did you play
my
that
wife
game?
and
Yes, I did.
sons love that game.
Yeah,
we still play it at Christmas.
I didn't play that game.
Really?
I mean, once or twice.
Jeff's out and about.
Kinda
Jeff's out in the woods doing stuff,
Yeah,
I think.
I was outside.
No board games.
So you could do it live here in the old manor at the Grove. You guys have all access coming up here in a couple of hours.
do.
You got a full hour of it. Who's joining you?
Two guests, I believe.
Couple guys.
Yes.
My favorite player,
You have many favorite players.
Brent Strange coming in.
Brent Strange. Love him.
You love him because he loves to block.
I love him because he plays every play to the whistle.
He's a football player.
He is a football player.
We got another football player. Dewey's going to be with us as well. So
Does that mean he's close to coming back if they'd let him come on the show?
I'm sure we will discuss that today. We know he's been working his way back. When his original injury happened in training camp, they eyed around this time. So obviously he's been working his way towards that. And I'm sure we will be very excited whenever he is available to play and help out the secondary.
Well, since you bring up Dewey, we were going to talk about changes in this block anyway and what has to change. Let's start there. in the secondary, and it isn't all going to happen this week, obviously, because Deshaun Gibson isn't going to be able to play on Sunday.
Yeah, and by the way, just I wanted to mention something real quick. If the league hasn't made any kind of determination on Deshaun Gibson as of now, which is Thursday, it's not happening this week. Right. A lot of people maybe thinking, oh, maybe it can happen tomorrow. No.
It would have happened on Tuesday.
And here's the thing that I'm kind of wondering. If it didn't happen now when he was eligible to come off of it, what's going on?
Also, they let him travel for this trip. That was approved because normally when you're suspended, not supposed to be with the team, but they approved his travel to come out here to potentially play in this game. So you have to wonder if something snagged up in amidst that.
And the approval happened quite some time ago, I believe. Right. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but, we talk about the possible return of Deshaun Gibson off of that list, and then also the return of Dewey.
Tyson Campbell.
Dewey, and I don't know if he's going to be ready anytime soon or not. I mean, we're going to have to kind of wait and see. But I will tell you, the safety position is a spot to where if one of those two guys were available, they would be probably put in the lineup.
In place of who?
I think Antonio Johnson's struggling right now a little bit. I mean, Cisco hadn't been playing particularly well this past game. He had his probably best game of the year, but prior to that, he had his moments too, And in a new defense, I mean, look, I get it, but it's not like the concept completely changed from last year. Now, Antonio Johnson, some of the demands and the expectations for him changed because last year when he was playing, it was kind of in that nickel role more than anything, and now they're asking him to play safety, which, he's having a tough time right now.
Kai, what's your take on Cisco's comments last week about guys quitting?
I don't know if I took it necessarily as he thought everyone was quitting. Obviously, I took it more as the end of the game when things are out of hand. Maybe people aren't playing to the end of the whistle is how I took it. I don't think he was saying that in the sense that he didn't do it. I think it felt like a we need to not do that sort of situation. And I think what was I at least understood of it was emotion, and we'll talk about this on Jags AM. It's actually one of my topics I'm bringing up is I would rather he care and is noticing that, and yes, I don't want complete infighting, but it's the apathy, it's the people that are like, oh, we'll figure it, that bothers me more than someone getting upset and saying, hey, they were quitting, we need to play to the whistle, we need to do this sort of thing. I would rather have that than someone that's just like, oh, well, we'll figure it out, because they care. Yeah. And at the end of the day, they care. Yes, it needs to be redirected in a positive way, but I want someone that cares.
Yeah, quit can mean a lot of things. Quit can mean that, okay, I've given up on trying to win this ball game, and I'm not going to give any effort.
That's how I took it.
And that's kind of how people took Cisco's comment. But there are other quits. I mean, quits that I view as not as bad. For example, I quit on this play, and I should have just continued to give great effort until the end. And it's not that I just felt like that I wanted to quit on the play and I don't think we can win. It's just I didn't think I could make that play. Well, I'll give you a perfect example. You go to the early part of the ball game, Anton Harrison, a right tackle, quits on a block. And his guy ends up smashing and running back. Well, don't quit on the block. Keep blocking to the whistle. Well, he's not quitting on the game, and he's not quitting on his team. He just quit too early on the play as far as effort goes. So there's different definitions. And the one thing about if you say something like that, you better be man enough and strong enough to walk into that locker room and own it, and also to back it up. Because if you don't, then you're going to have a tough time in that locker room as a player.
I saw him this week. He didn't have a black eye or a bloody nose, so obviously he's tough enough to be able to handle that.
And sometimes when a guy says something like that, I'm okay with it. Just because the status quo ain't working. And if it gets everybody riled up a little bit and gets everybody to pay attention, good. Let it happen. It's all good.
What else has to change?
Oh, the performance of everybody's got to get better. Here, and I'll give you a perfect example. Here's some things that are very easily controllable. Okay, off of my list. Okay, here we go again on Justin's
long list, ladies and gentlemen. This is a long list.
And I got some here just real quick. False start, drop, false start, personal PI call. Okay, PI call, another drop. Those are easily fixed things. Okay, awareness on finishing play. Anton Harrison. Okay, going back to play number 14 in the all plays real. Okay, finish the play. Maybe it gets another 3 yards. Well, maybe it doesn't make a difference on that play, but the next down and the next down makes it more manageable. So it makes a difference. I mean, all of these things that are controllable make them better. That's easily fixable things. Now, can you fix where the guy gets the ball punched out? Sure you can. There's another awareness thing. 2 hands on the ball, right? Evan Ingram going down to the ground. He's got 1 arm on it. Should have covered it up with 2, knowing he's going down to the ground. Didn't do it. I mean, that's an awareness thing. That's an easily fixable thing. Fix the things that are easily fixable. If you get beat, okay. If Kai's faster than me and she runs by me and catches a touchdown pass, that happens, you know? I mean, that's part of football.
Who fixes it?
The players and the coaches.
Okay.
You know,
Players first?
Well, I think both. I mean, I put them all in the same boat.
Okay.
Put them all in the same boat because you know what? As coaches, you know, how many takeaways does our defense have?
1.
2. Well, you had Trayvon Walker against the Colts.
I mean, as a
oh,
defense.
yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, Trayvon
So we got
Walker
2
against the Colts.
We have 2
Okay,
and
we got 2.
interception.
Okay. This defense in the past did a really good job with takeaways, okay, under Mike Caldwell.
Well, last year they were in great shape with him.
And one of the big reasons why is I believe that the coaches that they had did a really good job of coaching the awareness of takeaways. Okay, so there's an example of, look, you know, do a better job of coaching the awareness of takeaways to this defense right here, because right now they're not doing a good enough job, and the takeaways that they have are not good enough for this team to win.
It's funny because when you talk to Ryan Nielsen and he speaks, they talk about how it's a focus, about how they work on it every day.
I don't know if it is as much as it was last year. Last year it was, I want to say their sole focus was takeaways, and I remember I felt like the back half of the season, the secondary had issues probably that whole season as well. But if you can get turnovers, it's less of a burden, and I feel like because it just feels like that some of the other teams we play, they march down the field, and when you're not getting a turnover at any point, you're on the field that entire time. They're getting tired. You can't sustain that for the entirety of a football game. So by the nature of getting able to get turnovers, that's what helped them before. And I don't know, because you can't fully change personnel at this point in the season, that's what's really beneficial for them.
I heard from members of the Bears media, from Chicago media, that they are maniacal about the takeaways. And you can see the result
and stripping
of it,
the ball, you can tell that's
knocking
a focus.
the ball. But why isn't every defensive coordinator in the league then maniacal about the takeaways, if that's the number one indicator over the course of a season, that takeaway giveaway ratio?
It's a matter of how much it's talked about, and it's got to be talked about in a greater fashion with a greater emphasis and a more common amount of time.
I mean, after points allowed, the next one on the list is takeaways.
And they're dead last. I think in takeaways, aren't they dead last right now in the National Football League?
I would have to go back and look, but they only have 2.
Let me look at my
They're
categories.
doing the one on special teams, so yeah.
They can't be much above
29th.
Okay.
29th in takeaways. But as a defense, I don't know, because, I mean, they don't separate special teams from
So they got the extra one.
defensive, yeah.
All right. So Jags All Access, the 1 hour edition
A
tonight.
full hour.
From
I'm
here in the
looking forward
library.
to that.
I might bring some tea for Jeff.
I'll drink tea. I mean, just put some of that sugar in there. I'll be all
Just go outside
in.
and throw some dirt, the mossy oak that you'll see out there.
Are we doing the show? Are we in the same room?
I think we'll be here.
Maybe. All right. Cool.
Get the vibes.
I got to wear my smoking jacket for that.
There
you know?
we go.
Smoking
Class
That's the
it
crushed
up.
velvet. The crushed velvet camo jacket.
Yeah.
You break out your Texas
who
tie.
had that?
Brad Meester.
Brad Meester, that's who it was.
Good old Brad Meester.
He had a camo sport coat, which is he was like my hero.
Oh, listen. Yeah, and he had the truck on the big wheels with the CB radio.
Total redneck.
God love him, with 6 daughters. They couldn't refine him.
No, Brad's
been able
great.
to yet.
Brad is great.
All right, we'll take a break and come back. One final segment of Jaguars Happy Hour, and then we'll lead you right into the Doug Pederson Show. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM. You're listening to Happy Hour on Jaguars Radio.
Are you ready to love how you feel, look, and live in every season? At Elace, we offer more than just luxury med spa treatments. We provide a serene, judgment-free space where you can reconnect with the best version of you. Whether you want to refresh your natural look with Botox or Dysport, pamper yourself with a relaxing hydrofacial, or rejuvenate your complexion with laser resurfacing, our expert team in Jacksonville is here to tailor treatments to your needs. Visit Elace.com today and start your journey to loving yourself.
Hey Jags fans, stop dreaming of creating your game day fan cave and build the Jaguars den of your dreams with Zip Chair. When it comes to maximum comfort, ZipChair.com is the only place for officially licensed Jaguars recliners, sofas, bar stools, office and gaming chairs, all featuring high-quality embroidered Jags logos. Crack open a few cold ones in the comfort of a Zip Chair and make your home the place to be on game day. Head over to ZipChair.com and save 20% today. Use code JagsRadio at checkout. ZipChair.com, furniture for fans. Unlock your potential at the University of North Florida. A beautiful campus with an inspiring environment for learning, UNF is a key partner to Florida's booming industries, providing students with direct access to internships and jobs. Set a new course at UNF and soar into your future. Visit unf.edu to learn more.
You love free. And at Ameris Bank, so do we. That's why we're proud to offer worry-free, hassle-free Ameris Bank free checking. Manage your money your way with convenient access to digital, mobile, and telephone banking, all with no monthly service fee or minimum balance requirements. At Ameris Bank, we're with you. For more information or to open an account, visit our local bankers in person or online at amerisbank.com/free checking. Other fees such as overdraft fees may apply. Ameris Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Looking for the perfect place to host a business trip, corporate group, or social gathering? Look no further than the award-winning Sheraton Jacksonville Hotel, proudly part of the Marriott family of hotels. Centrally located next to the St. John's Town Center off Gate Parkway in JTB, they offer everything you need, whether you're hosting a meeting or just unwinding with friends at the BC Grill and Patio. Discover comfort and convenience like never before. Search Sheraton Jacksonville or call 904-564-4772 today. At Publix, you can tackle everything from pregame prep to postgame cleanup with prices that are never out of bounds. This week at Publix, save $10 with a digital coupon when you spend $40 on select P&G products. Tackle everything from pregame prep with brands like Crest, Head & Shoulders, and Old Spice to postgame cleanup with brands like Bounty, Dawn, Tide, and Febreze. Clip your digital coupon now. Available at Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
All right, one final segment here on Jaguars Happy Hour on 1010XL and 92.5 FM before we transition into the Doug Pederson Show. Time for an injury report presented by Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good. And we're going to yesterday's report because the boys aren't quite off the practice field yet. All these guys were listed as limited. Eric Armstead, who has been limited with the knee injury all year long. Gabe Davis with the shoulder stands out. Evan Ingram, obviously, they're cognizant of that hamstring. Travis Etienne has a hamstring. Mm-hmm. And Tyson Campbell, who's working his way. Hamstrings have been a problem.
That's going to be the interesting one there is Tyson Campbell. You know, let's go back last year. He had a hamstring, other one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cost him 5 games.
And I talked to Tyson before the Bears game a little bit about it and how was he feeling and all of that. And he felt really positive about it. He said it was a little different injury, and I'm not going to go into specifics because you don't want to do that. Right. But he said it was a little different from his other one last year. But even if it's a little bit different, the concern there is last year when he came back after the one last year, he wasn't the same player. And at one point, he actually kind of got demoted again and put as an inactive player, I believe it was, for a game, and then was brought back again a little bit later. So where's he going to be at? I mean, you'd like to assume, well, we get him back and he's back 100%. Well, maybe he's not.
Listen, you more than anybody can speak to the mental side of an injury, right? And you talked at length through the years about your knee and coming back from ACL and how long it took you to get comfortable. But it's the same thing with a hamstring, right? Maybe even more so because those are much easier to injure than an ACL.
Well, and do you trust it?
Yeah.
I mean, are you trusting it to open it up? And here's the one part with a hamstring. And again, I didn't have really many pulled muscles except for a groin when I played. I didn't have a hamstring until I was old and way out of the game. But with a hamstring and other injuries, when you're working your way back, you're still not playing a game. So in other words, what you're repping in practice and what you're repping with the trainers is it's not as sudden and as reactive as it is in a game, and you're not put in some of these precarious body positions that you are in a game.
Which is why guys with hamstrings and coaches in particular are really particular about when a guy can come in.
So you got to make sure that it's back. And look, he's been given a lot of time to come back. But, until you see it and then until you know, you don't know. Right. So, fingers crossed that he's going to be the same player that he was prior to the injury. But, injury has a way of determining that.
I don't know that we've talked enough about the quarterback. What is your magic play sheet there tell you about how the quarterback played in a game in which the Jaguars scored 16 points and didn't play very well at all? But what does it tell you about his chances of playing better this week?
Well, I thought he played okay this past game, but the reality is you still had the interception, which should not have been thrown, and then you had the underthrown ball to Brian Thomas Jr.
That one mystified me.
When you get opportunities like that, and you've got that much separation, you can't miss that. You can't. And as a quarterback, and if you're going to be the franchise guy, got to make them. I mean, plain and simple, you have to make those throws, because when you don't, it'd be different, Brian, if it was, okay, Brian Thomas Jr. only had a half a step and the defender were touching the arm as Brian's catching it. And maybe the ball was just maybe a little bit out of location.
You hit the back of the defender who was 2 steps off.
That's fine. But when Brian's got 5 steps on a guy and you vastly underthrow it to where the defender can come up in there and then have a PBU, pass breakup, that's not okay.
Why does he do that?
I mean, I don't.
Does he not trust?
I think part of it is the confidence, and the more you have success, the more confidence that you have, the more you just unleash it. You just let it rip instead of thinking about it.
Do you remember in 2021, which was just an absolute train wreck of a season?
You think?
Yeah. I was trying to think of
By the way, I was just wondering, did you have an urban moment there when you were trying to pronounce Roy Robertson Harris's name?
Well, I almost called him Harrison, which Roy Robertson Harrison. It's just a natural extension. Robinson Harris. I have to remind myself that. I don't have to worry about it anymore. He would come in to his news conferences after games and on Wednesday, and he was supremely confident. He said, "I know the kind of player I am. I know what my abilities are, and I know what I can do." And back then, it was easy to believe that because our memory of him was all the years at Clemson, and he had always done it. Mm-hmm. Do you suppose that he still has that level of confidence, or have some ups and downs this season maybe edged a little of that out?
No, I think it has. I mean, look, this team is 2-10 in its last 12 games, and he's a big part of that. And, human nature is that if you don't have success, then you start to have confidence issues. That's just part of human nature. I believe that he's still a confident player to some extent, but not a supremely confident, I can win it, give me the ball mentality yet.
Okay.
And that takes time to do it. And also takes a football team around him and a coach that's helping all of that. And right now that's not happening.
What would you tell him?
That's why this is I'm calling this the unhappy hour.
I've heard you say that, and I thought it was because I'm hosting tonight.
No, not because of you.
No. But listen, if Trevor walked in here and said, "Hey, where's Mrs. Green? Is the rope around here anywhere?" If Trevor walked in here right now and sat down on that couch, what would you tell him?
I would ask him where his confidence is at.
Yep.
Where is your confidence at? How can you raise the level of play of those guys around you? What is it like in the huddle with your offensive linemen? What do you do with them away from practice in the building? Because, that's a big part of football too. And I know that there's a lot that has been written, and Trevor's talked a lot about the relationship that he has with Christian Kirk kind of away from the field. But, you got to have a little bit of that with your offensive linemen too. Yeah. It gets them blocking a little bit harder on every play.
All right. Thanks. It's been fun.
I'm looking forward to a happier hour.
Well, we're going to get Doug Pederson in here.
I know.
And hopefully he'll have a big ebullient sunshine sort of smile.
Well, sunshines and rainbows are good, and I would like to have 2 happy hours next week.
From your lips to God's ears, and hopefully the coach agrees with that. That's next, by the way, the Doug Pederson Show. That'll do it for Happy Hour on 1010 XL. and on 92.5 FM. Thanks to our entire broadcast crew. And let's get hour number 2 in the Doug Pederson Show started right away.
Welcome to the Doug Pederson Show. Brought to you by Fresh from Florida. JP Shadrick and former Jaguar Jeff Lageman discuss the latest Jaguars news with the head coach. The Doug Pederson Show starts right now.
Welcome to the Doug Pederson Show from the library. Kind of feels like we're on the set of a Clue movie, right?
It does. This is great.
At the Grove, outside London, Brian Sexton in for JP Shadrick. Jeff Lageman alongside. Head coach Doug Pederson is here. Bright and sunny today. Is that your mood right now?
It is. It is my mood. I tell you what, this is a great day.
Yeah.
We just got off the field, walked through, and now we're back in the building. But this is it. I mean, listen. I've been in a good mood now for the last couple of days.
Good.
Monday was obviously rough. Tuesday, with the players back in the building here, back in the hotel, we had some heart-to-hearts, and I honestly think it was good. It was good that we did that. Players seem to be in a good spot, heading into this week.
Jeff, 2 words I've heard from players this week, Doug: focus and accountability. Give me your thought on those 2 words and how they apply to your football team.
I think it's perfect. I think they hit the nail, as they say, on the head. There's lapses during the game, which is that focus they're talking about. There's those mental mistakes, that show up there. If you take out the first part of the game where things were really going well, both offensively and defensively, you get in that middle part of that game, and we struggled offense to stay on the field on third down. And then defensively, we had 12 men on the field. We had a defensive holding. We did create a takeaway, but offense couldn't do anything with it, and vice versa. They have a takeaway, they go down and score. So that's kind of that focus that I think the players and myself are talking about. And then, the accountability of just doing your job. Just doing what we ask you to do. That's all you need to do. Don't I'm not going to do your job and you don't do mine. I'll do mine, you do yours, and then let's go play.
And watching the defense, that seems to be kind of a little bit of the theme, where you have mental errors that are hurting you guys. I mean, the penalties you talked about there, and obviously the couple first downs that were converted. But defensively, until you clean that up, I mean, it's going to be hard for you guys to compete.
It is, and those are things that we keep showing our players. And look, we've got the right people, we got the right players, the coaches, everybody. We're all on the same page with it. Now it's just a matter of we got to go do it, and it's not showing up all the time, right? It does show up a lot, but we need it to show up for the entire 60-minute football game.
Have you ever been in a position like this as a coach and a player, where your record is what it is, but the expectations were higher?
I think, probably not the expectations as high as they are for our football team. I know I started the season 1-5 in Kansas City. It's interesting. I was actually talking to Coach Reed last night, and we were texting back and forth, and I was reminding him of that. We were 1-5, and he says, "Yeah, also remember we were 9-0, had a bye, and then didn't win a game after that." So in Kansas City. So I've been on both ends of this, right? So it's just a matter of just sticking to what I believe in. Best for the football team, and lead like that, and just I don't think you change just to change. Now you're going to do some little things here and there to try to help improve some stuff, but I think overall you got to stick to your plan and believe in what you're doing.
I asked you about this yesterday, but you had a good answer, so I'd like to ask you again. Mike McCarthy's Cowboys had a tough loss on Sunday night to the Detroit Lions, and the next morning, I don't want to use the word defiant, but instead of "woe is me," right, and it stinks to be whatever their record is. He stood there and set him up for the challenge, right? I relish the challenge. I hope my players do too. Is that where you're at today?
I believe so.
You'd rather not be here, but
you don't want to be 1-5. You want to be 5-1,
yeah,
or 6-0. But you do have to relish the opportunity that's in front of you. This game, as you know, passes us by quickly, and these moments pass us by as coaches and players relatively fast. And so every time it's a great opportunity to take the field as a coach and a player. You need to maximize that opportunity. You need to relish that opportunity. You need to, do everything you can in your power, right, to help win that football game. And so I get what he says. I understand that as a coach. I understand that as a player. And that's got to be the message to the team, that we have to relish in these moments. It's a great opportunity. nobody's going to feel sorry for us around the league. We've got 11 ball games left. The Patriots aren't going to feel sorry for us, and Green Bay and Minnesota, Philly, all those teams coming up. So, hey, let's maximize this opportunity right now and see what we can do.
Your quarterback talked about the need of not being fragile in response to certain parts of adversity that always come in a ball game. As a coach, how do you create a mental toughness of your team that when you do encounter the adversity, you can not only just respond to it, but you can respond to it in a positive fashion to change the momentum?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's obviously the one thing that when you're in a position like this, you're always trying to find the answer to that. How do you respond? I think it's just like I've used that word resiliency or being resilient, right? It's that comeback after a setback, and it's just a mindset of like, you know what, enough's enough. If something negative happens in the game, by God, defense, you go out and try to go 3 and out or get a takeaway. If something happens, if they score offensively, we need to go back out on the field and we need to score, right? It needs to be that sort of that complementary aspect of football, and right now we're not doing that complete enough, for 60 minutes.
Yeah, and I go back to what you're talking about complementary football. Cisco had the interception, and here we go, right? Offensively, let's do something with it, and then you had a couple plays, and then you were out.
Like a 3 and out, I believe, stuff like that. And that's the other thing too is like you look at the game last week. I mean, it was a 7-3 ball game with under 5 minutes, I think, to go in the half. So we're sitting right there, and I believe it was about that time they go down on that 2-minute drive, I think, at the end and score, make it 14-3 there at half. But we're in those games, but that's where the mindset has to come in. And it's like, guys, no, we need to stop defensively and offense. We need to be on the field and go down and score ourselves.
So now as a coach, now you're in that position, where it's not happening, and you have maybe performances that don't need to be where they are. As a coach, accountability is always, one of the most important things. What do you do as a coach to make sure that the accountability is there in the future going forward with your football team?
I think, and it's interesting because I think Coach Mayo in New England is kind of in the same position I am, and from the standpoint we're both 1-5. And you listen to his comments this week, and I think he's dead on when he says, you know what, you got to find the right 11, right? You got to find, and it doesn't matter who it is. You got to find the right 11 who are going to do the right thing every single time, or at least let's say
most of the time,
right? There's going to be mistakes happen. We're not perfect, right? There's going to be a mistake happening, but if defensively I got to be in the B gap, right? If I'm a receiver and I need to be 16 to 18 yards down the field, I need to be there, right? So you got to have that accountability with the team, and you got to create competition with your team because they can't feel comfortable, right? Listen, the media, they don't. I'm not comfortable right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my tail's on the line, right? So I need to carry, not in a pressure moment, but you got to say, hey guys, listen, we're in this together. There's going to be competition. There's going to be accountability. If you're not one of those 11 or one of the 48 on Sunday, then you got to look at yourself too and say, hey, I got to do better.
So you're saying there could be some changes maybe?
There's a chance. Yeah. I think there's an opportunity, and I think that's what you got to do. You're always searching for ways, and that's one way to do it.
Well, there's at least one, because Roy Robertson Harris was traded on Monday to the Seattle Seahawks. So who steps into the gap? Who are young players or who are other players that you're looking to get something from, Doug, on Sunday against New England?
Yeah, I think that's, Roy obviously was a big piece and a big part, and unfortunately, I mean, that is what it is. We were heavy at the D tackle spot. We were heavy with the D line, and this time of year, injuries start, piling up around the league, and teams are looking, right? So it's a great opportunity for Roy, unfortunately for us, but now it's a great chance for guys like Miles Cole, right? It's a great chance for Mason Smith and the Jordan Jeffersons, those young players who we drafted to now, they got to go and they got to play, and they got to, they've got to. Okay, this means business now. This is they're serious when stuff like this happens, right? Because the roster is constantly shaping, and changing every week. Or someone like a Joe, Gaziano on the practice roster might have to be elevated. Things like DJ Coleman. So everybody has an opportunity, to win a jersey during the week. And so some of those young players are going to have to do that.
There's one more I want to ask you about. You're going to get Tyson Campbell back, I would imagine, or at least you're very close to that. When he comes back, you have a player who's earned playing time in Monteric Brown. That's a good problem to have. It's nice to be able to look and see a guy that you can count on. I think he's one of the better players so far.
Yeah, he's been playing really consistent football on defense. It's great to get Tyson back, his caliber of play. It's really going to help us there on the back end. And I think, too, I look at Ronald Darby, too, and look at his role and give him an opportunity to take a break here and there, too, and save him and keep him fresh. Just like it's no different than rotating the D-line. We're keeping those guys fresh throughout the course of the game and throughout the course of the season. Same way at linebacker. I think this would be a great opportunity for Darby to embrace that if that's the way the defense wants to go, because Monteric has definitely earned a right to play. And then it gives you more rotational pieces on the back end as you game plan and scheme.
At one position, you don't really have the flexibility yet because Foye is still on injured reserve, not eligible to come back. And then over the last couple of weeks, Tanner Muse has been activated kind of in that special teams role. You can't do that anymore with him. And you don't have the ability to bring Foye back. I know that from my eyes, this past couple games, I've seen Devin Lloyd struggled a little bit at times. I mean, so do you do something different possibly at that linebacking position for this game? Because this game's kind of that last opportunity before Foye comes back.
Again, interesting question, but, we're probably going in with five guys. We got Anthony Pittman sitting there, a veteran or a young player who we brought onto our practice squad. Who's learning the defense and is a really good special teams player too. So he's another one you could potentially elevate. But Devin's one that's got to continue to just keep developing and keep working. It's one of the things that with him, again, a young player, kind of still, I don't want to say he's learning the position because it's been 3 years now, but it is kind of a new position for him in a way. And so he's got to continue to just study and learn and grow and get better. Trust his eyes. He's such a good athlete and a good player. Sometimes he lets his eyes trick him, and he's just got to trust his instincts. I encouraged him the other day just to do that, just to trust what he sees and believe in that and how he's being coached and but like you said, we could go in with five linebackers for this game, and majority of them are special teams guys, and Ventrell continues to grow as well.
Can I flip it over to the offensive side for a minute? You have, obviously, with the Travis Etienne, little hamstring. How do you balance the load? Because I know that's been important to you not to be leaning too heavily on one back. How does the running back position shake out if he's not 100% and can't help you?
Yeah, if he can't go, then obviously Tank has a bigger role. Dearness has a bigger role, obviously, and then we're sitting there with Jake Hunt on the practice squad, who again could be elevated as a third running back and or a special teams player. So you start to get thin. One injury away from getting kind of thin. We'll see where Etienne is, Travis is at the end of the week, but that's what it is. And you go and then you got to rely on your quarterback and maybe your four tight ends and do some things there too. But Tank has shown that he can handle the load, I think. Yeah. And we'll try to load him up as much as we can.
You talked about your quarterback. A lot of people want to say, well, you lost the game. Quarterback didn't play very well. I thought he played pretty good. Yeah. Not perfect, okay, but pretty good. You missed the one throw. The drops, though. How do you, as a coach, kind of, and because you're talking about a veteran group, with the exception of Brian, how do you coach a team to get over the drops? And that's probably the hardest thing in the world to do because you just hey guys, we got to catch the ball. But is there something that you can do to kind of bring the focus and hey, look, we've got to make those plays?
Well, you got to show them. You got to show them on tape, obviously. But then you have to go back in practice, right? You have to, in your individual periods or when there's opportunities to throw, with Trevor. You get with Trevor and you just keep throwing. You get on a jugs machine before practice, after practice, where you're constantly trying to focus on the ball, focus on the tip of the ball. Do whatever you can, distraction drills, all kinds of things that you can work on as a receiver to try to minimize drop. Are they going to happen? They're going to happen, but they're kind of happening for us at an alarming rate, and that's, in order for us to have success and stay on the field, particularly in third down red zone, you got to make those catches.
Yeah, because I'm not just a dumb defensive guy. I mean,
Sure.
the concentration and the talent and all that.
You don't worry about the
totally out of my lane
part.
there.
Yeah,
That's why I was asking.
Just rush the passer.
And we spent so much time the last couple of weeks talking about what you have to fix, what isn't working. When you watch the tape, when you're on the practice field, what are 2 or 3 things that are working? What are things that give you reason to believe this team can turn this around?
Well, I think the number one thing, and this is you see it on the film, and you see it is, one, the effort's there, right? That nobody's quitting, nobody's shut down. Even though I know what Cisco said and all that, but I don't believe that. I don't believe guys are quitting and shutting it down. So that's a positive. I think the way we started the game last week, we started fast on defense, got a 3-and-out. Offense goes down. Sure, we dropped a pass in the end zone, but we got the 3 points and you take the lead, and those are some positives right there. And then I think our offensive line play is improved. I think there's some good double team blocks. We're coming off the ball a little bit better. That way I think too, when you look at it from a secondary standpoint, we play a lot of match or man type coverages. There's not a lot of, when you look at the big picture, not a lot of places to throw the football. Now we have to get the pass rush better, but I think that secondary with some young players, we're still making some young critical errors back there, but I think there's some positive to continue, to work on. So, it's BT being able to get down the field, get in behind the defense. Those are all successful things, and we've got to continue to find ways to do that. And I do think our tight ends. I think our tight ends have been playing well. Evan had a big game coming back last week. I know he had the big, fumble there to start the third quarter, but I think that's a positive too that we can continue to lean on.
By the way, I got to throw this out there because Brenton Strange might be my favorite football player. I mean, the guy plays.
He plays it right.
He plays it like a defensive mentality. I mean, I'm going to bury a guy. I'm going to finish. I mean, I love watching him.
Yeah, he plays the game right. And on that Trevor scramble, I mean, he turned and he wheels on the nickel there.
Yeah, it was
and
awesome.
Makes a block and
whistle to whistle guy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
So looking ahead with the New England Patriots, what do you see with them as being the most challenging thing with the Patriots?
Well, I think the number one thing is obviously their defense. I think their defense is good. It's a typical New England Patriots style of defense. They're going to give you multiple fronts. It's game plan week to week, so you never know. They do a great job of matching, DBs with receivers. So, we might see some matching there. DBs traveling with our guys, and really. I know they got a young quarterback, and then they're working through some things there, but you just can't let this kid get started, and they're going to rely on the run game. I think screens, some play action stuff, and still a dangerous football team, very typical, New England kind of esque, very disciplined group, and Coach Mayo has them playing hard, and that's what you see on film.
All right, just one quick thought on getting hot. Right? I mean, I know everyone looks at 1-5 and says, well, they can't do anything, right? They're 1-5. Last year, you're 8-3, and you finished 1-5. You started 1-5, so there's a possibility of a strong finish if what happens?
I think if we just focus internally, honestly, I think it's that focus and accountability, just like the players are talking about. If we do that, eliminate some of the mental errors in the game, take advantage, I think offensively, take advantage of what's there, then like I told the team, we can't get all 4 back in one game, right? But we can slowly get 1 back this week and the next week and just methodically move throughout the season. So let's just focus on that, stay focused internally, don't listen to the outside noise, and just go to work and play.
Best of luck at Wembley on Sunday against the Patriots, Doug.
Thank you.
And this is the Doug Pederson Show, presented by Fresh from Florida, and is presented on the Jaguars Radio Network by the University of Florida. And we're back after this on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA to not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units, to not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health, National Medical Center for Team USA.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents in 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A. member FDIC.
Flight by Yingling is the next generation of light beer. For those who don't follow trends, but craft them. Flight by Yingling is 12 ounces of uncompromised refreshment from America's oldest brewery. With only 2.6 grams of carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Don't just raise a glass, raise the bar. Flight by Yingling. Available wherever beer is sold. DG Yingling & Son Incorporated, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please enjoy responsibly.
At Publix, you can tackle everything from pregame prep to postgame cleanup with prices that are never out of bounds. This week at Publix, save $10 with a digital coupon when you spend $40 on select P&G products. Tackle everything from pregame prep with brands like Crest, Head & Shoulders, and Old Spice to postgame cleanup with brands like Bounty, Dawn, Tide, and Febreze. Clip your digital coupon now. Available at Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
And welcome back to the Grove outside of London. Brian Sexton in for J.P. Shadrick along with Jeff Lageman. Jaguars 1-5 heading to Wembley Stadium on Sunday for a showdown with the Patriots. Patriots have lost 5 consecutive games. They've got a rookie quarterback. How do you think the coach is approaching that? I mean,
I can tell you this watching the New England Patriots film. I mean, that's a team that's really struggling.
Okay.
And then when you listen to their head coach, Gerard Mayo, he starts talking about evaluation, building. I mean, anytime a coach is using those words, then you kind of understand where they're at.
All right.
And that's where they're at.
So Doug seems to be working to keep his energy level up. 1-5.
Not easy.
No, and you've experienced it. I've experienced it with this team many times.
It's not easy.
This is the 9th 1-5 beginning in the Jaguars' 30 years. So we know a little something about it. But when you're responsible for not just yourself, as a player, you're responsible for yourself, but also the coaching staff and the support staff, it's a heavy burden.
And I think as a coach, it's very challenging because I think the psyche of a losing team is very fragile. I mean, that just like Trevor talked about, we're fragile. We haven't been able to overcome any kind of adversity in a ball game. Well, I think also a team can be fragile with their psyche when it comes to keeping the attention, keeping the focus, the effort, and everything else. And to go back to what Doug mentioned about Cisco, and was Andre Cisco right in that this team quit? I don't believe that they quit, but I also believe at the opposite side of that there could have been cases of better effort. Okay, definitely could have been cases of better effort in that ball game and better execution. And sometimes as a player, it feels like your team quit, but in reality, it's not a matter of quitting. It's a matter of execution and energy and everything else that kind of comes along with winning football, which they don't have right now.
All right, I want to dive into that execution side of it, but I got to go back to the fragility part real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed to me when Gabe Davis dropped that ball, right? 1st and goal from the 8-yard line, he jumps off sides on 1st down. So you get to 3rd and goal from, the 9 or 10, and Trevor threw a beautiful pass. I mean, they're about to overcome the mistakes, and they had 2 offsides penalties inside the red zone on that drive, and they're about to overcome it.
Yes.
Overcome the obstacle, the adversity that they hadn't been able to, and he drops the ball, and I thought at that moment, they're probably not going to win this game today.
Yeah, and I think when plays like that continue to happen, okay, you drop a touchdown pass, or let's say you get a defensive penalty that extends the drive of the opponent, or you have another drop touchdown, or you have an underthrown ball. I mean, all of these things with a losing football team really impacts their psyche, and it makes them fragile. It makes them not as mentally tough to fight through it, and this football team has got to clean it up. If they don't clean it up, they're not going to win, and that's one of the reasons why when we were talking to Doug, I asked him about accountability. I mean, because in player speak, the only way that you make players and teams accountable You can't take it away out of their pocketbook because the money's just too big nowadays. Right. You can't say, oh, you know what, we're going to sit you for practice today, and we're going to let somebody else take some practice reps. You got to take away their play time. I mean, that's what impacts players. If somebody's not playing well, okay, you take away their play time, okay? And even if the option that's behind that player is not as good, you still have to do it.
You do. You have to send the message.
And it's not so much sending a message, Brian, as it's making players accountable. Okay? And I think sometimes people get a little off about sending the message, and because that's not the purpose. The purpose is to get your team better. It's not about sending a message.
Okay, and I do agree with you on that, but you do, when somebody loses playing time, it doesn't go unnoticed by other players who maybe you're not giving enough
but
effort.
the purpose of it isn't to send the message, but it happens. I mean, we're both on the same page
totally
here.
Did it.
Both on the same page here. And I think, in a couple cases, I mean, if Gabe Davis is dropping touchdown passes, then you know what? Parker Washington might have to get some more reps, okay? If Devin Lloyd is missing a coverage on defense, then you know what? In some situations when maybe you end up going to a single linebacker on the field and you don't have any other option, maybe you play somebody else for a little bit.
In the offseason, when the Jaguars signed a couple of veteran free agents, part of the reason they were brought in was to impact the locker room and help take a young team to the next level. When we come back, I want to talk about some of those guys and guys you think can lead by example, can impact the mental toughness of this team. This is the Doug Pederson Show, live from the Grove outside London. Brian Sexton along with Jeff Lageman, and we're back after this on Jaguars Radio.
Can you imagine rising for work before the crack of dawn? Tending to hundreds of acres of land before dusk? Well, that's what happens on 47,000 Florida farms every day. Florida's farmers work hard to grow nutritious food for you and your family. And you can help support them by enjoying delicious Fresh from Florida produce. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo where you shop, or visit freshfromflorida.com to learn more.
Calling all loyal Jags fans and loyal Gate customers, football is back. And you and 3 friends could win a chance to meet Trevor Lawrence. Entering is easy. Just buy any 5 28-ounce Gatorade or Gatorade Zero products at Gate with your MyGate Rewards app, and you'll be automatically entered. Not a MyGate Rewards member? Download the app and sign up today. See store for details. Alternate entry available at GatoradePromos.com/TLaw.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
If you're facing cancer, you want a dedicated team working for you. At Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center, we only focus on cancer. And we partner with one of the largest cancer centers in the world. So you'll have a specialized treatment plan created by our experienced and highly trained oncologists and surgeons, collaborating with one of the country's leading cancer centers. Best of all, we're in North Florida, with locations in downtown, Baptist South, and Clay. Appointments at baptistmdanderson.com.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
Well, Zip Chair is furniture for fans. Check out their fully customizable line of Jaguars furniture by visiting zipchair.com. The Doug Pederson Show is brought to you on the Jaguars Radio Network by the University of Florida. Brian Sexton along with Jeff Lageman, and as promised, I want to go back to some of those players that Doug and Trent talked about bringing in the offseason as guys who've been there, done that, and could help a team that didn't finish strong last year. Eric Armstead, Mitch Morse, Gabe Davis, those are the 3 guys that stand out the most as being guys who were brought in. The only one who strikes me as playing well enough right now to be able to stand up and say, this is how we do it, is Mitch Morse.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
I would agree with that. And Mitch might be your most consistent, best performing offensive lineman. You could make the argument for that. Gabe Davis is shocking to me. I mean, I thought that he would be a perfect fit for this offense, and I still believe he can be that.
Okay.
But he's just got to start performing better. I mean, it's a bottom line business.
Do you see anything in particular that you think he has to do better?
Just catch the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, in reality, if he just catches the ball, if he makes the catches that have been there for him, he's exceeding expectations, I think, with this offense. And I think he fits the offense in a perfect way because he gives them another option at getting deep. Brian Thomas is the guy that's going to run by people, and Gabe is the guy that's going to be crafty that can get deep. But he's just got to catch the ball. And until he starts catching the ball, I mean, you can't have that impact that you were expected to have coming in. And Eric Armstead has just been average at best.
Is he out of position?
Yes. I mean, I'm trying to figure out why he's playing defensive end. Look, he's been a defensive tackle, and a
really good one.
The bulk of his career. And I know that, he's coming back from a knee, so, I mean, that may have something to do with it. But when you watch him at defensive tackle, he is more impactful than when he is at playing edge. And I use the term edge because edge encompasses everything that could be a defensive end or an outside linebacker. And
he just doesn't look like he has the explosiveness off the edge.
Well, here's the thing that I would say. And look, I like him as a player, as a defensive tackle. But the whole concept of the position is in the name, edge.
Yeah.
Okay, edge. What does that mean? Well, it means you're on the edge and you can threaten the edge of an offensive tackle. And if you don't have the speed to be able to threaten the edge of an offensive tackle, then you're just a defensive tackle playing on the outside. You're not an edge.
So give me one guy that you think can, by his play, stand in the locker room and lead.
Right now?
Right now.
I mean, Josh Hines-Allen has been consistent all along. Brian Thomas Jr. has been consistent for the most part all along, besides the drop that he had this past game. But I mean, it's kind of hard to figure it out. The offensive line has been pretty good. I thought even Ezra Cleveland's been playing pretty consistent the last few weeks.
And, of course, your favorite, Brenton Strange.
I love him. I love him. I mean, 85, I'm serious. I'm going to get me an 85 jersey.
I've never heard you say that.
All
the years I've known you?
If there's one guy from this football team that I would wear his jersey, it would be Brenton Strange. I love him.
They better be loading those up at the Pro Shop, folks. Get yours today. Brenton Strange, a guy to watch on Sunday. We'll be back with more of the Doug Pederson Show from the Grove outside London. And you are listening to the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
To aim higher, run faster. It's what elite athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA. To not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units. To not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health, National Medical Center for Team USA.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, PowerBoost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Are you ready for some football? Well, you are now, thanks to Ticketmaster. As the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL, Ticketmaster's got the best way to take it to the house when it comes to being there live. They're the safest and most convenient marketplace to score fully verified Jaguars tickets. And even if your plans get broken up or worse, turned over, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell your seats. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com. Officially licensed everything.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
And we're back on the Jaguars Radio Network, presented by the University of Florida. Well, you can enroll your pet in the Four-Legged Fan Club, presented by Forever Vets Animal Hospital. There are all kinds of benefits for your pet being a member of the Four-Legged Fan Club. Check it out, jaguars.com/promotions/Four-Legged Fan Club.
Why is it that I have a real hunger for potato chips right now?
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, just for some reason, I'm really hungry for a potato chip.
Crisps here in the
Maybe
UK.
it's because the guys behind the cameras are eating potato chips right now.
So what you're saying is you should share, right? Bring it on out.
That's great.
Hey, we had what I thought was an insightful conversation with the head coach at the top of the show about the secondary. Tyson Campbell will return on Sunday, or at least seems like he's going to be back on the field on Sunday.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a domino effect that gives you some leverage. Boy, I think Monteric Brown's a guy that needs to be on the field, don't you?
Well, I do, but I will point this out, that Monteric had a busted coverage this past game, so he's not without some guilt in the loss. And then he also had an opportunity to come up and make a play and make a tackle, and he kind of turned it down. So he has to be better as well. But, when Doug was kind of answering the question about Tyson, he kind of freely offered that, hey, maybe baby Darby needs, some rest in games like we've been doing with other positions. That tells me right there that Monteric Brown's going to go over and get more reps. And, and it's the head coach being nice about saying it, And the reality is that, look, Darby had 2 interference calls this past game.
On the same drive.
That kept a drive alive. And by the way, let me just go to that drive for a minute, okay? Because you know what? You just scored on offense, and you ended up closing the gap to, 21-10.
And then Allen and Walker give you 2 sacks in 3 plays, and you're going to get it back. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun.
And on that drive, you had the 2 penalties on Darby, okay? And then on top of that, your run defense was not good. You're out of gaps, and Swift ends up running for, I think, 54 yards on 5 carries. And I mean, that was like a 4-minute, not a 4-minute offense by the Chicago Bears that was run perfectly. And you want to talk about sucking the life out of a team for a game. I mean, again, that goes to, are you fragile, or are you just not making enough plays to keep momentum or to create momentum for your own football team? But that drive, it made me so angry. And then I watched the film on it for the last couple days again. It made me angry again. It's like, guys, come on. This is where you've got to be better.
That was what set me off on Jaguars AM earlier this week. That moment, you come out of the halftime and you have the turnover and you give up a touchdown and you're down 21-3. And the quarterback makes a great throw and gets you back to 21-10. And then Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker come up with 2 big plays and 12 men on the field. I mean, the
12 men is on coaches.
I get that.
I mean, look, as a coaching staff, okay, going into the game, and I'll pour down a couple things that I'll kind of pin on the coaches just from my perspective. Number one, 12 men on the field is always coaching. And so when you're trying to do substitution change on an offense that's running a little bit of tempo, you have to have an awareness that, hey, look, when we do this, okay, the guy that's running onto the field, he needs to get his tail out on the field and get lined up. But then the guy also that's coming out needs to get his tail off the field. And Devon Hamilton was the 12th guy who, by the way, could have been running a little bit faster to get off the field. I'm not saying he was loafing, but it wasn't a full-blown sprint. And somebody's got to be saying, roll, brother. Let's go, get off the field. So that was disappointing.
Wherever this season ends, I think that drive is one we will talk about next off season.
Well, and let me point one other thing that I put on coaching. The ball was on the grass 4 times in that ball. It's turf. Yeah. Okay, it wasn't grass, but it looks like grass. Okay, 4 times the Chicago Bears punched the ball out in the game. One of them ended up getting overturned because ETN, they ruled it not a fumble. But then you only lost the 1. It doesn't matter. You still had the ball on the turf 4 times against a team that you knew they do the Charles Peanut Tillman punch-out thing. Have some more awareness, protect the ball better.
Awareness, accountability, focus, the key words this week around the Grove outside London. We're back after this on Jaguars Radio.
Floridians, do you know how close you are to freshness? It's not a plane or a ship ride away. It's not across an ocean or over the equator. It's not even a far drive. The peak of freshness is at your grocery store, and it's called Fresh from Florida. Fresh from Florida is local produce grown by farmers right here in our own state, meaning it's always fresh, always in season, and always mouth-wateringly good. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo or ask for it by name where you shop.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
All right, the Doug Pederson Show presented by Fresh from Florida, from the Grove in London. Brian Sexton along with Jeff Lageman. Second straight week, the Jaguars will see a rookie quarterback. This one not quite the same as Caleb Williams, and the Patriots aren't quite the same team, as you alluded to, as the Bears. What'd you see from him on tape? 3 touchdown passes last week, 2 interceptions in their loss.
First of all, I'm glad he's the 3rd overall pick because Trevor has not had a win against a 1st overall pick.
Okay.
Just kind of joking there. But May's, athletic. He's got a big arm. The reports are that he's smart. The thing that impressed me in that ball game is the Patriots' offensive line is in shambles. But yet he fought through the entire game and stayed in the pocket as best he could to end up having the most passing yards that the Patriots have had all year long, and for a quarterback in a position for the Patriots that has been under duress almost the entire season, that's impressive.
Well, they only had 2 touchdown passes in their first 5 games total, and he had 3. So that tells you they're more efficient.
Here's the crazy thing. The Patriots' offensive line, 6 games, they've had 6 different starting combinations of offensive line.
Wow.
Okay, and that's hard to play winning football when you have that. And it gets even better. The one position that you would like to have stability at when you have a young rookie quarterback is the center position, right?
Yeah.
You're
telling me they haven't.
Yeah, no. So they had David Andrews for a long time. David Andrews gets hurt in week 4, and then a guy by the name of Nick Leverett ends up finishing game 4 and then starts game 5, and he's horrendous in game 5. So last week, the Patriots end up signing a guy, Ben Brown, off of the Las Vegas Raiders practice squad on a Thursday. He flies to New England, practices Friday, practices Saturday. They start him on a Sunday.
How do you do?
He played well. But, is that not
that's crazy.
Bold in that you're getting ready to start a 3rd overall pick quarterback. He's going to get his first career start. You're going to put him with a center who has been with your team for 2 days. Brian, think about that for a minute.
Now that you put it like that, it speaks well of May.
That's exactly right. First of all, how much do you think of your quarterback when you're willing to put him out on the field with a center that's been there 2 days and you really don't know about? But the Patriots' offensive line, to go back to the original point, is that it's in shambles. And it's going to be, I think, even in worse shape this week because they're best offensive lineman, Vidarian Lowe, left tackle, ended up hurting an ankle like the 12th play of the game this past week against the Houston Texans. So they may end up having their 7th offensive line combination in as many weeks.
I wonder if that guy is with them this week in London, whoever's going to start.
I mean, so
or if they had to fly him over.
If you're Drake May, you'd like to have a little consistency up front, and here's the other thing. They don't have a running game to go with them.
All right, so Mason Smith, Jordan Jefferson get more time this week. Can they show something against this group?
I think Jordan Jefferson is playing pretty good. I think he's can actually take some snaps from Devon Hamilton, whose play has been average at best, and that's being nice.
Yeah.
Mason Smith has got to find the ball and has got to play faster than he's playing right now. For a second-round pick, I mean, you should have a starting caliber player, and I'm not saying that he can't get there, but right now he's not anywhere near that.
All right, you are listening to the Doug Pederson Show, and we've got more from the Grove outside London in advance of the Jaguars matchup with the Patriots coming up at Wembley Stadium on Sunday. And we'll return with more after this on the Jaguars Radio Network, presented by the University of Florida.
Run faster. It's what elite athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA to not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units. To not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health, National Medical Center for Team USA.
Check this out, the new iPhone 16 built for Apple Intelligence. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered?
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. Trade in any phone from one of our top brands for the new iPhone 16 with Unlimited Ultimate. Plus, get a new iPad. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
At Publix, you can tackle everything from pregame prep to postgame cleanup with prices that are never out of bounds. This week at Publix, save $10 with a digital coupon when you spend $40 on select P&G products. Tackle everything from pregame prep with brands like Crest, Head & Shoulders, and Old Spice to postgame cleanup with brands like Bounty, Dawn, Tide, and Febreze. Clip your digital coupon now. Available at Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, Power Boost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Are you ready for some football? Well, you are now, thanks to Ticketmaster. As the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL, Ticketmaster's got the best way to take it to the house when it comes to being there live. They're the safest and most convenient marketplace to score fully verified Jaguars tickets. And even if your plans get broken up or worse, turned over, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell your seats. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
The Jaguars bring performance, strength, and passion to every play. And you'll find the same when you bank with EverBank. Open an EverBank Performance Savings account and score serious savings. See what you could earn at everbank.com/Jaguars. EverBank, advantage you. Member FDIC and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
Our show is presented, as always, by Fresh from Florida. Brian and Jeff with you from the Grove, and we'll flip it around and take a little bit of a gander at the Patriots defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a try-hard group. You know, I don't think it's the most talented group. You know, there's a couple guys that I think are pretty good football players. Mapu wears number 15. He's one of the biggest safeties, I think, in the league, does a lot around that box, and I think he will make it challenging for the Jaguars to run the football a little bit. with Tank Bigsby, because I expect Tank to kind of have to carry the load a little bit with the injury to Etienne. On the outside, Christian Gonzalez was a guy that I really liked watching his college film.
The cornerback from Oregon.
Yeah, got great hips, competitive, will travel with the better wide receivers. And I don't know if there's anybody in the league that's got the speed to keep up with Brian Thomas Jr., Jalen Johnson, who they faced last week. I think is one of the corners that can. But I think that will be a test and see what they do with him against Brian.
When you watch this Patriots defense, do you see the hallmarks of Bill Belichick's defensive scheme? And Gerard Mayo obviously played and coached with Belichick. Is this something similar?
Yeah, it is. And if you'll go back to what Doug talked about, he said, they play a lot of different things on defense. I mean, that was classic Bill Belichick. Belichick was a master of, he's got this shelf of game plans. And then let's say there's like 15, 20 different books. Each week he just, will close his eyes and then just grab one, and whichever one he pulls down, that's what he wants to do. Yeah. So he keeps offenses very off balance, and Gerard Mayo has learned from him. His entire coaching and playing career has been with Bill Belichick, so that's the system that he knows. Now, I understand that they have a defensive coordinator that's last name's Covington, but look, that's Gerard Mayo's defense. I mean, when you're the head coach, and that's your specialty, that's your defense.
I once heard a story from a coach who had been on Bill Belichick's staff who said that game planning with Bill was like, here's the Cleveland game from 2002. There's our offense. And here's the Steelers game from 2008. There's our defense. Here's the special teams plan from the Rams game in 2012. We're going to go with this.
And he's not doing it in a random fashion.
No, he knows exactly what he wanted.
He knows exactly what he wanted as a coach. And, look, now towards the end, Bill Belichick wasn't great.
I think Brady had something to do with that.
Well, I mean, Tom Brady had something to do with it also. But, Bill's lack of ability to be really good at talent evaluation, and then also what he did with the New England Patriots offense after Tom Brady left, as far as with the offensive coaches, was just, it failed miserably.
We should have brought Mac Jones in here to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm sure Mac could go on and on and on about that, but bringing in a former defensive coach and then also a special teams coach to run your offense, I mean, that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Even though the defensive coach had a pencil behind his ear and went to MIT?
Yeah.
Probably didn't work all that well all the time, I guess.
But I will say that greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick.
Well, and he still hopes to pass Don Shula someday. He needs 13, 14 more wins to get to 348.
I was looking at his numbers, and I actually wrote it down with the Patriots. 266 wins with the Patriots alone, 121 losses. 6-time Super Bowl winner, lost 3 of them, by the way. 18 playoff years, 17 division titles. Can we get some of that? I mean, just saying, can we get some of that?
Yeah. 4 division titles. Let's get 5.
No.
5 before we get to 17? All right. We'll take a break. Folks, we've got one more segment when we return to the Doug Pederson Show here on Jaguars Radio.
Can you imagine rising for work before the crack of dawn? Tending to hundreds of acres of land before dusk? Well, that's what happens on 47,000 Florida farms every day. Florida's farmers work hard to grow nutritious food for you and your family. And you can help support them by enjoying delicious Fresh from Florida produce. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo where you shop, or visit freshfromflorida.com to learn more.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
For us, treating cancer is personal. We're Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center, and we know that every patient is unique. So you'll have a plan created by world-renowned doctors and tailored to your needs. And everyone here will support you every step of the way, so you're physically, emotionally, and spiritually strong for the journey. Don't face cancer with anything less than the team at Baptist MD Anderson. Locations in downtown, Baptist South, and Clay. Visit BaptistMDAnderson.com.
The 2024 season is pawsome. Register your pet for the Four-Legged Fan Club, presented by Forever Vets Animal Hospital. Your furry friend can access exclusive merchandise, events, and sweepstakes throughout the season. Fan club members will be automatically entered to win the Pet of the Game sweepstakes with 2 Jags tickets and sideline passes for pet owners and the chance for your pet to be featured on the video boards as Pet of the Game. Visit Jaguars.com/promotions/Four-Legged Fan Club to sign up.
Calling all loyal Jags fans and loyal gate customers, football is back. And you and 3 friends could win a chance to meet Trevor Lawrence. Entering is easy. Just buy any 5 28-ounce Gatorade or Gatorade Zero products at Gate with your MyGate Rewards app, and you'll be automatically entered. Not a MyGate Rewards member? Download the app and sign up today. See store for details. Alternate entry available at GatoradePromos.com/TLAW.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
And the final minutes of the Doug Pederson Show, presented by our friends from Fresh from Florida. Brian and Jeff with you here to wrap it up. Let's wrap it up with the quarterback. Obviously, I heard you tell Doug at the top of the show when we had him here that you thought he played pretty well.
Yeah, I thought he did okay. And that was look. I thought that Trevor was mentally tough in that game. The only bad throws that he had in that ball game was he underthrew Brian on the one, and then the interception was a force, which never should have happened. And that's trying to score 14 points in one throw. You can't do that as a quarterback. And at that point, I don't know if they would have gotten back into it, even if he were Tom Brady. The team just, I thought at that point, was just mentally out of it. But he's just got to keep pushing, and part of the drops, I think, is his responsibility to get those guys out of the funk. As the quarterback, you are the leader, okay? You are looked at every single play. In the huddle, everybody's looking at you. You have to be able to use some of your will to raise the level of play of those around you.
Does that mean raise the level of your voice?
And if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. Now, if you're constantly raising your voice, then you get tuned out.
Right.
Okay, but you've got to pick your times, and certain guys need to have it done in a different way. And you need, as a player, you have to kind of have that, and as a quarterback, you have to have that awareness as a leader that, hey, look, if I yell at you, Brian, maybe you'll go into a shell. But over here, I can yell at this guy because he won't. Everybody's different. And even though, that people always say you can't treat players differently, everybody is different. And so as a leader, I think there's an art form to doing that somewhat. And he's got to be able to do it, because, look, here's the reality. Like we talked about Gabe Davis earlier. Okay, maybe he has to sit. But the reality is that Gabe Davis is one of their best wide receivers when he's playing well. Okay, what can you do to get him to play well? And I think that's part of it. But you got to change the fortunes of this football team. I think in the last 12 games, they're 2-10, and they're not even scoring 20 points a game on average. Okay, that needs to change, and Trevor's been a part of that. Now, a couple of those games he was hurt and he wasn't starting. Okay, but the majority of those games, he has been the starter.
Can one good offensive performance, right? They come out against a defense that's not playing that well, against a team that's not playing well. I don't want to say can it get him right, but can it give him something to chew on as they go home?
It can be a start.
A tough stretch of schedule here. Packers, Vikings, Eagles.
It can be a start, Brian, but it's not going to carry you over. Because then you would have said, well, the Indianapolis game would have given you that start, and then you kind of gained some momentum, and you didn't gain it. That's the hard part about playing professional sports is that, it's a week-to-week thing, but you've got to be able to build from one week to the next. They didn't build from Indianapolis to the Chicago Bears, and now you just got to start one game at a time. You can't worry about playoffs and division title and expectations. You just need to get a win right now.
Focus is the most important
You need
word.
a win. Get focus and get one win and worry about the rest as it comes.
All right, well, we'll see if the Jaguars can get their second win of the season. Their first here on this trip to this side of the pond. That'll do it for the Doug Pederson Show, presented by Fresh from Florida, here on the Jaguars Radio Network, presented by the University of Florida. Have a great evening, everybody, and we'll talk to you on Sunday from Wembley Stadium.